Hey guys, here's a guide to cycling Lake Apopka Trail from Green Mountain, and we're pulling into the Green Mountain parking lot from 455 here. The gates do lock when the park is not open, but hey, our sales tax at work, very fortunate. Definitely take note at the hours of operation. You will get your vehicle locked in, and that's a bit of a mess. But at the parking lot, great restroom facilities, a water fill-up station, bike stand, and definitely a bike pump. So this current route is from Green Mountain to the pump house and back. We're taking Clay Island to the pump house and then straighter roads back. Not overly technical, just the descent itself, getting down to the trail. As you see, the route itself is about 30 miles and not too much climbing. So from the parking lot, we're going to roll down to the start of the actual gravel segment. If you were to go straight instead of turning left here, there's a nice overlooked viewing area of the greenery and looking out to Lake Apopka. But going down here, my best recommendation is don't worry about carrying speed. Just get down safely. I usually recommend tripoding, and what that is you unclip your inside foot so you can prepare to balance yourself if you have to start slipping. I went wide on that first right there. What's interesting about these corners are the conditions change really quickly with the amount of people who ride down here. That bridge that you see overhead is part of that overlook viewing area there. Same with this left turn here. And what makes this descent difficult is that it's this loose rock gravel on loose sand. So loose on loose is not a good combination. I'm starting to pick up a little speed here, but I'll scrub it off before the turn. And again, I'm going to tripod it to make sure that I can make the turn safely here. Unclipping. That one wasn't too bad there. This one right here is really sanded on the inside. Again, we're just taking it nice and easy down. I think that's the last one before we hit the gate here. What's interesting is this is a KOM segment going up. However, I think somebody should make a KOM segment going down this gravel descent here. So as you see here, we're coming into the gated area here. And then making this left. This little left-hand turn has been responsible for claiming a lot of washouts and road rash because when it's wet out, this lime rock here, as you see, has greenery. It can be like black ice. Florida's version of black ice right there. If there's any moisture or wetness on top of that lime rock that we're riding on right now, your bike can just slide out from under you. I like to call this the tunnel of trees here. This is actual segment, Strava segment from the beginning till you get to the Clay Island turn. So This segment is called Wolf's Head Northbound. So kind of after you go down the little twisty rocked graveled area, once you hit the lime rock section till you get to the Clay Island turn to go south, that segment's called Wolf Head Northbound, and it's about 1.63 miles. There's a couple little tricky turns here. Going this way can be fast because we're actually mostly descending, and the pavement is, or the conditions are paved, but it is a little bit bumpy. And there's a couple turns here that can be a little tricky if you carry too much speed. So depending on if there's been a pretty bad rainstorm, there'll be a lot of debris on the road. A lot of times you'll see people hiking down here as well. Sometimes you'll see horses. It is a popular trail area for horses. But here's one of the kind of tricky little turns here. It's just a little sweep, but if there's some loose area there and you're carrying a lot of speed, the rear wheel can squirm out from under you. Same with this little right-hander here, or left-hander right here. This place is also popular for runners because it's safe, and the conditions are much softer than asphalt itself. Obviously you do have to get past this area here, and also for running you do need to be careful on the lime rock area just past the gate at the beginning, at the bottom of the climb. But I think we're here's another little tricky left-hander here. Again, if you're carrying a lot of speed, you can hit a patch of loose gravel that can have your rear wheel wipe out. But most of them are just sweeping, and that last one, what makes it a little difficult is you have a tree that you can't quite see around. So really pick up some decent speed. Again, we're mostly descending. There's a couple areas where you do have a slight elevation, but you'll see on the way back later in the video that the speed is significant. There's a significant difference in speed where I'm going much slower. I think we're getting close to approaching the turn to go what's considered Clay Island. Kind of the opening right here where it gets really bright. Make a kind of a sharp right-hander, and that'll take us to Clay Island. It's been about a month since I've ridden out here, and it looks like this section of the Lake Apopka Trail has not been mowed in a while, but still these left and right kind of single track areas are packed. Surprisingly, there's a lot of Strava segments out here. The Clay Island Road, from where we just turned on, there's a couple segments through this area. Again, just taking these little sweeps nice and easy, just so that you don't wash out. Was carrying a pretty decent amount of speed there, so making that kind of right hand sweep came out wide to the left, and as you can see, I'm kind of on the left side, but now I've switched back over to the right side. A lot of wildlife out here. You'll see later in the video some cameos from different wildlife. This section is not open to vehicles, however you will see later that as we approach towards the pump house, that there are vehicles, so you do need to be careful and respectful of some of the other people out enjoying. There's a nature drive tour, self-guided tour out here. A lot of people bring out their cameras just to catch a glimpse of some of the wildlife and Florida's nature, Florida's beauty. These sections can be fast here. There is a little bit of a sweeping chicane coming up soon, so these little areas, again, if you're carrying a lot of speed, just weight that outside foot, put some body English in it. That should keep yourself pretty safe. Little left-hander there, and then this little right hand, so that little chicane there. Again, just kind of coasting, letting my speed carry me through those turns there. So what's nice about riding out at Lake Apopka is you are staying safe from vehicles, not have to worry about trying to battle for safety or getting hit by a car. But also, it's not overly technical. The terrain, now that it's well managed, the conditions are great. It's not technical, and you get these long straights where you can really work on power. What's nice is you're staying on the gas. You have to pedal the whole time. Here's a slight little left-hand sweep here. Again, not overly technical. Most of the turns are obvious. The sweeps, as long as you're not trying to kill it through these little sweeps, you should be able to stay upright. But if you've ever done a kicker workout or an indoor training workout, trainer workout, riding out here should feel similar in the sense that you're always pedaling. There's not too much coasting out here to just maintain your speed, not unlike being out on the road. So the workout can be very different, can be more exhausting than you would expect, say doing a road equivalent for time or mileage. And on this ride today, I'm just keeping it nice and steady. Most of this is pretty packed in here. This is a little sweep right here. Left sweep, and then we get this little right-hander sweep here. Just keeping on a gas, steady tempo. A lot of times we'll see bobcats around this area here. Little left and right, and now we have a left turn. This one can be a little loose, so slow it down. Don't have to grab a lot of brakes. And then we start to open up on the scenery here. A lot of close big trees are not around this area. You see these big fields. And then soon we're going to be coming up to one of the pump stations. Not what's known as the actual pump house itself. Again, you get these long, straight segments where you can really focus on, say, 5-minute interval workouts, 10-minute, even 20-minute interval workouts. Again, not having to worry about battling vehicles, and it's definitely a change from, say, doing long interval training on a trainer. So here you see one of the pump stations here, and then we're going to connect onto a paved segment now, turning right. Now you can also turn left, and later in the video we'll be going to the road straight behind us rather than turning left to go onto Clay Island. Little left hand sweep here. And then we're on this nicely packed straight segment here with a canal to our right, which will eventually lead us to the bridge, quote unquote. Lots of photo ops and people taking pictures of their bikes there. But it's the main connection to get out to the whole other side of the trail. This road used to be terrible, pitted, and then St. John's Lake Management has done a great job. Actually, they've done a great job with the whole trail, the trail as a whole, where they brought in huge rocks and crushed it, and it's all leveled now. So this road is actually pretty darn smooth. You can carry good speed, and you're not having to dodge potholes or large rocks. Previously, this was an area for opportunities of flats before they crushed all the rocks. About 2 months ago, not on this segment, but other areas, I suffered 2 sidewall punctures on tubulars, so those were not fun. We switched out the first sidewall puncture with another tubular, and then that second one went as well, and it was a rear wheel, so just no saving. So that was an adventure story in itself. I think we have about less than a mile to go till we hit the bridge. On rare occasions, you might notice a gator on the right side in the canal, but typically most of the gators are much closer towards the pump house, and then just out the roads just away from the pump house are commonly quote-unquote alligator alley. But again, these are long straights. As you see to the right here, we're going to make a right-hand turn onto this bridge. And again, this is where a lot of people take photo ops. A common landmark for a regrouping area. And then we're going to head straight. Similar to the road we just came from before the bridge, this road was known to be terrible. Lots of potholes, really pitted. You'd have to play dodge the hole here, but it is nice and smooth. The rocks have been crushed. They brought out rocks in about a month ago. They were not crushed yet, so not only were you dodging the pits, you were also dodging these giant rocks. But fortunately, they've been crushed now. My first time riding it since they've finished the segment, and it is nice and smooth. I would think that there are going to be a lot of new Strava segment claims moving forward because everything is pretty much smoothed out now. one of the guys we rode with a couple months ago. He flatted here, 2 flats in about 3 miles. He was riding a road bike, and I think 23 millimeter tires, so that's probably not recommended. If you are gonna do a road bike, get the largest tires that your bike and your brakes can fit is my recommendation. Get something with a little tread. The technical area, just descending down Green Mountain on the graveled rocks, loose on loose section. Everybody needs to take it cautiously regardless of what bike you're using, so I don't think there's a big disadvantage there. But out here, having a large volume tire, you can drop the pressure a little bit for some improved traction, and everything out here rolls pretty fast. So this right-hand turn here, we're starting to actually head towards south, towards Lake Apopka now. We're now on kind of the northwest corner of the lake, so about 11 o'clock, 10:30 of the lake Apopka. Again, this is nicely packed. Our trail is pretty fast now. Very well maintained. Everything looks great at this point in time. Actually, when we go over to Alligator Alley, I think those areas are going to be more terrain challenged because they're more vehicle traffic, which then does do some stress and damage onto the roads. You'll find when we get out towards that way after we hit the pump house, there's going to be a lot of pitted areas as I kind of go around some of the vehicles. Again, around the pump house, there's driving nature scene tour, self-guided, so you'll start to see some less than ideal terrain out that way. And the trails in all the area is maintained by the St. Johns River Water Management District. I think earlier I said St. Johns Lake, but it's St. Johns River Management District, Water Management District. They've done a good job of maintaining all this area, pretty much all the area around Lake Apopka itself, which has been nice for us as cyclists. Just a different way to train, get out and ride our bikes without having to worry too much about vehicles. This left-hander here, again being a little cautious on the turns so that you don't wipe out. It did come a little loose as I was hitting the apex, but here we're now heading east towards the pump house, and unlike when we were on Clay Island, this area looks like it's been mowed. You can see some of the mulched clippings just out there. It does provide some traction though, so that is nice instead of the harshness of some of the loose terrain. And this is a little bit bumpy, but the cameras are doing a good job with image stabilization. Front camera's GoPro Session, and the rear camera is Cycliq Fly6. Great camera. It's meant ideally for security purposes. However, the image quality is actually pretty good, and the light when it's on its brightest is pretty high powered, so that's a nice light camera combo. It does get hot out here. There's not that much shelter except for the tree tunnel as you come down from Green Mountain, so pretty wide open fields, and it does get hot, so making sure that you get plenty of you're packing plenty of water and nutrition as needed. Little left-hand sweep here. And then we're gonna have a little right-hand sweep right here. Again, not overly technical, and if you're taking the actual turns a little conservative, I think you'll be fine on some wide road tires. Picking up some tread will be helpful, but things roll pretty fast out here, especially since it's pretty packed, crushed for most of the riding out here. Coming up to a right-hand bend here. As you see on the left side, there's a little lookout area here, and a little rest area with some seating. Here we are, just ease off the throttle a little bit, and then we have this sharp left-hand turn here, a little loose right there, but you can just carry your momentum around, weighting the outside pedal pretty heavily, and you'll be fine. There'll be a couple little quick chicanes in this area here. You can see the bright sun beating here. It's kind of a nice little right-hand bend, and then this left-hand bend here. As the humidity in the air and dust kick up from the gravel and terrain, your bike can get pretty caked with dust, your legs as well. Call this a lazy bend here. Just the ever so slightly right-hand bend. With the training out here, great opportunity to get some good tempo work in, maintaining good cadence and leg turnover. Little left bend here. And then just up ahead, there's going to be another outlook area. Seating area to our right, and then you can see this little canal to our right. We're going to make a U-turn just up here, a U-turn just up here. The gravel is a little loose, so it's smart to scrub some speed before you start to turn. And it's going to be right hand onto gravel from this brushed packed area immediately to another right-hander. As you can see right here, it can get a little loose. And then we take another immediate right-hand turn. This can be loose right here as well. So this looks like it was pretty new. This packed dirt is very slightly loose, so it is requiring a little bit more effort to maintain the same speed and tempo. You can see somebody rode earlier, and I'm slightly trying to follow those tracks as they left a track that's a little bit more packed in. Like I said, it is very finely loose, just that top layer. It's almost like it's a packed sand there. And then you'll see very shortly to our right, we're definitely at pretty much 12 o'clock. Of Lake Apopka, and we'll be riding along the lake to our right. That is to our right. Mountain bike, another great choice for the terrain out here. Done plenty of group rides with mixed gravel and mountain bike. So if you look to our right, there's Lake Apopka there. Big, wide open body of water. I think at some point we've hit into Orange County, whereas we were in Lake County starting. Again, kudos to St. John's Water. St. John's River Water Management District. This stretch was damaged by the hurricanes a few years ago, and they did a phenomenal job of getting the terrain safe for us to enjoy. There you go. To your right, you can definitely see the big open body of water, which is Lake Apopka. Can't quite make it out yet, but in the distance there is the pump house. If you know what you're looking for, you can make it out if you've ever ridden out here. We're probably about just over a mile to the pump house. Now, I know there are a ton of different routes out here. Again, this one, we're just going from Green Mountain to the pump house via Clay Island, and then taking some different roads to return back. If you continue east beyond the pump house, you'll be able to hit into Apopka and Khoi and Winter Garden. The main trail access there is Magnolia Park or Magnolia Point. Where we came in through Green Mountain. The terrain here is not as smooth. And we're about to approach a gate as this certain part of the trail that we are riding on is typically closed to vehicles, but we'll see a gate where we'll be in vehicle access territory. Not uncommon to start seeing gators around this area. Definitely to our right. Sometimes they'll just be hanging out on the trail itself. But I think with as many vehicles as there are out here, we won't really see any. So there's a gate there, and then this left-hand turn would be where vehicles would go to. So again, the terrain here does get a little rougher than the terrain that we were on. It is packed, but it's just pitted. Pitted asphalt. I think the smoother line is going to be on the left side, which I think I will eventually switch over. So spending a lot of time out here can really make for a solid training day. Definitely gets hot again, not much shade. So here we're coming up to a vehicle here. We'll have a couple of vehicles here. Most of the drivers are pretty good about cyclists out here. The challenge is they'll a lot of times be unaware. You see, and give you space just because they put down there to pack down and on the nature drive tour there. And so they're out with their cameras, but straight up ahead, I know you're creeping up to them. Pump house, whether it's coming from behind, another common regrouping area. There's some bathroom facilities here, and if you go through this little pedestrian bridge on the right of the pump house, right where this lady is taking pictures, that will take you, if you continue on, that can take you to Magnolia Park. So we're just going to circle around here, take a quick break. But first time for me spotting a pretty old turtle. Not a big reference point, but this guy was pretty big here, so I had to take a little time to capture. There's a little fella. Not quite so little, but I didn't want to get too close. And then we'll take a quick view around this area. This little body of water to our right here. This is typically the alligator pool here. So there's a pump house. Some people just out, but this body of water here usually can be pretty infested with alligators. None out that I spotted specifically, but I'm pretty sure they're down in there. I wouldn't want to find out. And then we're back on our journey. So now we're going to start to work our way back to Green Mountain. Again, you can just double back, take the exact same way along Lake Apopka back. But I'm going to head north. This is Wallen Road here. Not sure what these vehicles are doing. Maybe trying to figure out what they're gonna do. Again, pedestrians out on the nature tour here. Self-guided tour, but it does get rough here. You can see the pitted spots on the trail here, so dodging them it's a little bit like Minesweeper. But a lot of times this area, I think we're on Roach Road here, heading west now. Typically known as Alligator Alley. A lot of alligators just hang out, sunbathe on the side in the grass, or actually on the trail itself, on the gravel. But I think with all the vehicles out, they're out and staying away. So, like the other areas around the the main crossing bridge. I wouldn't be surprised if St. John's River Water Management District brings in some sand or rocks to crush to fill in these dips and divots here in the road. Plenty of them here. So actually, I think we are on Roach Road, but we're actually heading west. So you can see right there all these little divots in the road here. If you guys like our content, subscribe below and share to your friends. Much appreciated. So again, as we pass vehicles from the back, a lot of times just making sure that you can give some space. You don't know when they're going to start moving again, as they're usually out with their cameras just trying to capture some of Florida's nature beauty. But at times playing Minesweeper through these areas here because it is pretty pitted. Pretty nice long stretch section here. This straight area here, another area of typically alligator alley. Lots of alligators just sunbathing. It's not too late in the day, but again, I think all the vehicles being out, just scaring them away. They don't really want to bother us. I've been out plenty of times seeing them just hanging out. We ride past and they don't even move at all. So there's a big boy we've nicknamed Bubba out here. He's probably one of the bigger gators that we commonly see in this stretch here. Again, just making some space. Vehicles will typically, if they see you, they'll pull over, let you ride past them. So this guy just catches a glimpse of us, just pulls just slightly over to the left, making space for us on the right side of this vehicle as well. So be respectful, and that will be reciprocated typically. Canal on our right side here. I believe we're heading, we're on Fudge Road now. Soon we should be making a right-hand turn. That should be Canal Road. Again, with all the vehicles that do travel this area, much more pitted terrain. You can see me bouncing a little bit here and there. So here, as we go around these vehicles here, we're going to turn heading north onto Canal Road. Slightly loose, so just scrubbing a little speed before making that right-hand turn. And overall, the roads are pretty packed. It's just whether it's going to be pretty pitted and well used from the vehicles that travel on them. So dodging these pitted areas again is like Minesweeper. If you're not paying attention, you'll just get a nice little dip in the road. I think mostly if you stay towards the middle, the crown of the road, it's not typically as bad because vehicles aren't really driving on the middle. But like riding on the road itself, I typically like to stay towards the right side. I don't know if this would be in any other part of the world. If cycling, they would ride on the left side of the road, just like vehicle direction. I think I'm just finding some smoother, less divoted, pitted road and going around this vehicle, staying on the left side versus being on the right side here. Jeep would be a good vehicle to be out here. But here we go with a left-hand turn here. Again, scrubbing some speed, carrying the momentum. Not really needing to push through the corners here to keep yourself safe. And this particular road that we're on is an unnamed road. It's a long stretch. The terrain here is actually right now it's not too bad, but it will get pretty rough in a little bit. There are pits here. It looks like there are vehicles that can drive on this particular section of the trail. So it is pretty packed. shortly we should be coming up to a few bends that are just a little technical. Making sure you're braking before the turn rather than in the turn itself to maintain traction and not kick out your rear wheel. I think there are 2 little chicane areas coming up. Frequently in this direction I find that we have, heading west, we have a bit of a tailwind. When I've ridden this part of the trail in the past. That held true today as well. So you can see me looking to avoid some of the pits in the road here. But here's one slightly little technical section right here. I'm going to do a lefty straight into a righty. Oh, sorry. I'm going to do a right turn here. And you can see me just hitting these pitted areas. And just looking to find some of the smoother roads. It's packed, it's pretty fast. This is actually Canal Road that we turned onto. Take this little right sweep into a left turn here. And then this particular road that we're on now is unnamed. This guy gets pretty rough here. As you can see, it's not this white crushed gravel that we were on. So we're gonna be on here for a little while here. About a 2-mile stretch. And then towards the end of this stretch, we will come up onto a couple little technical turns around this area. Little chicanes, but this area is just rough. Probably at this point the roughest area. Not only is it pitted, but the terrain is pretty bouncy. You've got a mix of this paved area that's just broken up. Again, we went through a gate, so this area is not, I don't think this area is accessible to the public by vehicle. It's not really much to worry about as far as vehicles being in the way, but just keeping on the tempo on the rough surface. I'm just kind of trying to search for smoother areas here. I think I do switch to the left side. It is a bit more packed and smoother on the left side. And again, not having to worry about vehicles doesn't really matter. If you see cyclists coming, you just switch back to the right side. You can see it's tough. Here we go. There's that switch, and it is just a bit smoother. I'm still searching for some smooth terrain. You see me just coming off my line, the far left line there, but it's a little rough. I think we're about to come up to one of two chicanes before we actually make a true left-hand turn. This one right here, it goes left and right. I come over to the right to just take a wider line. And then not too far from here, about a quarter of a mile, we'll have another left-right chicane. Again, I feel the left side is just a bit smoother than the right side. But in general, this is one of the rougher areas except for the tree tunnel. Actually kind of very similar to the tree tunnel when you're not on the lime rock. So I think here we're about to approach the next left-right chicane here. Right there, taking the wide line for the right, that little right turn there. And just up here is a left turn. It does get a little loose, and I think you'll see my rear wheel want to slip out from under me. I hold it, but you know, just grabbing some speed off, carrying some momentum in, taking a wide line, not really grabbing any brakes into the turn or in the turn itself will keep you upright. Got a short straight before we turn right, which is heading back onto the photo op bridge. So we're about to make the right-hand turn here. If we go straight, that is where we came, the route we went earlier. And now we're just actually returning back. But all this area is pretty packed. Much nicer than it was. So if you ride it now, being July 2019, then it's pretty well packed. Again, earlier we came from this turn and turned right, but now we're heading to this little stretch here, nicely packed, crushed to the bridge. And just in the distance in front, you can see we're about to approach the bridge. And they recently finished this particular road that we're on right now. This was terrible. Probably one of the worst roads. Huge pits, big rocks, easy to get a flat. We're going to be coming straight up the bridge. However, coming down the bridge, it'll be a left-hand turn that you do want to take rather cautiously because it's a quick little descent, but loose gravel into a turn. So this is photo op bridge here. And then that's that left-hander. That's pretty loose. Can be easy to lose your rear wheel sliding out there. So now we're heading southbound. This road we already traveled on after we came off of Clay Island. There'll be that little, at the end of this straight here, there'll be a right-hand turn and you'll see the little pump station. Again, from the bridge to that pump station's about 1.5 miles. So you can get about a nice 5-minute interval right here. As stated towards the beginning of the video, when we're heading in the opposite direction, this stretch was pretty pitted as well. And then before they actually, as they were smoothing it out, they had a lot of huge rocks out here before it was crushed and packed in an easy flat area. But I think now it would be rather difficult to get a flat. Today I'm running clinchers, but I would feel comfortable running tubulars again. Throwing some latex sealant in there and not necessarily having to worry about flats. The 2 flats that I did get were the only flats that I got out here, and those were sidewall flats because of all the rocks that they had out here before they crushed as they were working on leveling out all the pitted areas. So looks like everything's crushed, packed, smooth out. I feel comfortable running my tubulars out here again. Current tire choice on my clinchers are Challenge gravel grinder. Pretty much a file tread middle with some good nubbies on the sides. Almost like mud tire nubbies, but the file treads run pretty fast. So here's that right-hander here. If we were to make this immediate left, that would take us to Clay Island, which would be slightly a longer, just a slight longer route back to the tree tunnel, because it hooks back up to that tree tunnel area. This straight used to be pretty tough as well, but they've done a good job packing it down. Not really pitted. This stretch from the right-hand turn that we made. This is about 1.7 miles. About halfway down this stretch, you start to see it on the right side. There's an observation tower over there. I think there's an owl that hangs out at the tower. Right there to her right, that's the observation tower. I don't think I saw the owl out today, but in the past evening rides, I've seen him out there a couple times. And then this road dead ends. And we will be making a left to head back to the tree tunnel, the road of the tree tunnels. So this stretch being about 1.7 miles. Again, great for another about a 5-minute interval session for this straight here. I think we were just to do constant 5-minute interval sessions. This trail, Lake Apopka Trail, would be awesome. Great area to work on your 5-minute work. So I think we're about to approach this gate here where it dead ends, and you have to go left or right. We're going to go left to head south. And then this road has been nicely packed in. So we're about to approach this asphalt area, paved area. It's not in the greatest condition, but I like to call it the landing strip. Kind of like it was put here and a small airplane could land here or something, but I call it the landing strip right here. You'll see you'll have to dodge some of the pretty big pitted road terrain change areas from this packed gravel area onto asphalt. Like I said, it's kind of like a landing strip. We make the right hand turn here. If we were to make a left right here, that would take us to Clay Island where we started. We're going back into the tree tunnel. Going this way back up to the parking lot of Green Mountain is definitely more challenging. It's like a false flat, ever so slightly rise. Again, the terrain is rough here, and then there's a couple of very little technical bends that you're kind of blinded. That you have to slow down just a bit, but the terrain is rough here. Not that it's necessarily loose, but it's not well leveled. And we're going up just slightly, so you're tired after a long ride, but having to push some good power just to get through this section here. There's a little bunny rabbit. Actually, we saw it on the way out. Not necessarily crossing, but running ahead and darting into the grass and trees. This time he ran across. But this is, some of these areas are just slow grinding. Feeling like you're pushing a heavy gear when you feel like you should just be coasting, but we're picking up some speed here. Here's a slight right turn, right bend, where it's a little bit loose and can be blind. But we're not going that fast, and it's kind of a power grinding with intermittent descents. Little right hand bend here. And then we're getting close to that lime rock area. Here we are, and you can start to see some of the greenery on top. Makes the surface pretty slippery if it's wet or there's moisture on the ground. Slightly descending here, you can see him picking up some speed. But for pretty much this whole course, about an hour and a half here, we're actually spinning the whole time, not really coasting at all. Took a quick break at the pump house, then we're just pedaling the whole time. Still descending just a bit. And then we'll soon approach the little gate area. To then ascend on the loose rock on loose. To head back up to the parking lot of Green Mountain. there it is right there. You can start to see the fencing right here. So we make this right hand turn here onto the graveled rock. Again, that right hand turn claimed many people, scratch derailleurs, and then we take the left and the climb starts, the Green Mountain Trail climb, and it's currently King of the Mountain claimed by Taylor Khan, taking it at 15.5 miles per hour at a minute 20. It's quite a fast pace. The first straight is the longer part, but it is a grinder, and again, each of the corners are loose, and every time you do it, whether it's going up or down, the conditions change. I'm tripoding here and pretty much come to a standstill, and I'm just kind of using my foot to walk to get around the corner. Back on pedaling, and then as I'm pedaling to the next corner, I think to myself, hey, I think if I dismount and run, it's actually faster. Likely is, so I don't slide out. And I'll do that with the next few corners. You can see the outlook, Green Mountain Outlook bridge up there. And we're just grinding. Here a lot of times guys will take this right hand turn into the grass here instead of going all the way to the end. Makes it just a little bit safer as the corners are pretty loose and sanded. And then we have this one final left corner here. Again, I plan on dismounting. Just like the last left-hander. And it's just faster that way. Like cyclocross. Safer too, because unlikely you're gonna go down there. And then we hit this final straight before we make the right hand turn back to the parking lot. And there you have it, guys. Solid workout. Nice scenery. Does get hot, but it's safe. Thanks for watching, guys. This is KSquared Cycling, the Khoi, the